Thank you so much for being here in the state capitol today. We are really blessed to have an important announcement, which I'm going to be leaving to the secretary. We do have some distinguished guests with us, and if I can, Congressman Scott Perry. State Senator DeSantos. State Senator. State Representative Patty Kim. The Mayor of Harrisburg, Eric Pappenfuse. And the Majority Leader from Lancaster County, my great friend, Brian Cutler. And from our state house, we have some outstanding members. I'm going to begin with Colonel and Marine from Lebanon County, Representative Frank Ryan. Representative Mark Gillen of Berks County. Representative David Rowe. And another United States Navy veteran from Allegheny County and Washington County, Representative Natalie Mihalik. Natalie. If I might, is Lieutenant General Christopher Byrne here with us? Come on up, sir. Please come up and join us. U.S. Air Force retired. And Lieutenant Colonel Rudy Jancic, who is the ops commander of the Navy Depot. Is he here? Okay. And we're so honored to have these distinguished guests with us today. Folks, our first special guest is going to be Ms. Alex Curry. And she's going to tell you, I think, some really outstanding facts, and a native, really, of Middletown, Pennsylvania. She is a ship's sponsor. Ms. Curry, will you please come up?
Good morning. Standing here is very surreal for me, but it's an incredible honor. As mentioned, my name is Alexandra Curry, and I reside in Middletown, Pennsylvania. It's a quaint borough on the outskirts of Harrisburg, and while I do not hail from the area originally, it has undoubtedly become my home. We chose to plant our roots here, and it's the perfect place to raise a family due to its culture, sense of community, and resiliency. My husband, Jim, is currently serving his second term as mayor of Middletown, and our boys, Jimmy and Jude, are soaking up all the treasures that the Harrisburg area blesses us with daily. So why do I stand here before you today? Today, the United States Navy has bestowed upon Harrisburg an incredible honor. I have been asked to be a sponsor of the next amphibious transport dock ship, which has me beaming with pride. Ship sponsorship is one of the oldest and most hallowed traditions of the United States Navy, beginning in 1846 when the first woman sponsor christened the sloop Germantown. A sponsor is selected by the Secretary of the Navy for her relationship to the namesake or the ship's mission. She is said to instill her spirit into the heart of a Navy warship. It is my absolute pleasure to announce the name of this ship, the USS Harrisburg. Yay! Secretary of the Navy Spencer chose this name to honor the people and the history of Harrisburg and of central Pennsylvania. In addition to being the capital of Pennsylvania, the Harrisburg-Carlisle Metropolitan Statistical Area is home to a number of DoD facilities, including the Naval Support Activity in Mechanicsburg. I feel especially connected to the USS Harrisburg already for so many reasons. The amount of respect and gratitude I have for our great military is hard to even put into words. My own brother-in-law, Lieutenant Jonathan Galgosi, was deployed on a similar LPD ship, the USS Ponce, which safely delivered him home to our family in March 2016. Lastly, Harrisburg is my home and has nourished my family and me with warmth, tradition, and lasting memories. Each passing year, our roots grow deeper and deeper, and Harrisburg and Central PA continually prove that this is where our family is meant to be. So, Secretary Spencer, thank you so much for this honor.
Come down here for a second. This good man will be closing us off with remarks. He is our chair of Veterans Affairs and Emergency Preparedness, and a Navy veteran himself, Stephen Brar. Stephen, you'll be closing up after I have a few more remarks.
No problem.
Thank you, buddy.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. At this time, I have the honor of introducing Congressman Scott Perry, and he'll be introducing our next guest, and then that'll be Dr. Navarro from President Trump's administration, and then Dr. Navarro will be introducing our esteemed guest, the United States Secretary of the Navy and a Marine himself. And I'll come up to then introduce Chairman Brar from some closing remarks. And at this time, Congressman Scott Perry.
Hey! Thank you, Mr. Speaker, Secretary, distinguished guests. We are privileged today to have Peter Navarro, Assistant to the President and Director of the Office of Trade and Manufacturing Policy. He has a PhD from Harvard University in Economics. He is the Director, as I said, of Office of Trade and Manufacturing Policy, which, among other things, advises on policy to increase economic growth, decrease the trade deficit, and strengthen America's manufacturing and defense industrial base. Among other things, prior to his appointment, Dr. Navarro regularly appeared as a financial market analyst and China expert in such media outlets as CNBC, Fox Business, the BBC, CNN, MSNBC, and CBS News, including 60 Minutes. He is the author of numerous books. Would you please help me give a warm Pennsylvania and Harrisburg welcome to Dr. Navarro? Sir?
It's one of President Trump's favorite congressmen, strong supporter of the American military, Scott Perry. Thank you, sir. My aide looked at this building and he went speechless. Beautiful, beautiful. Great to be here with you today. My mission for President Trump is to create good-paying jobs at good wages for the men and women of America, particularly those who work with their hands. And I'm also blessed to help the President strengthen our manufacturing and defense industrial base in the process. So when I had this opportunity to come to Harrisburg to celebrate the naming of an LPD ship, I couldn't wait to get here. And it fits in with the mission of the President. Let me tell you just a little bit about why we're here. There was an original USS Harrisburg. I don't know if you know that. It was during the Great War, World War I. It made 4 trips over to Europe, taking our soldiers over there during the war. Equally important, after the war was over, it made numerous trips bringing our war-weary veterans home. And then a couple of years later, it was retired to scrap, and the USS Harrisburg was no more. Well, today we're going to have a new USS Harrisburg, and I love this because it's in sync with the mission of the President. Not only will we have a ship which helps us defend our nation, this is a ship that also will be used for humanitarian and relief missions. And as we're building these ships and building out a bigger Navy, as the President has had the dream for, as we're doing that, we're going to be creating great jobs across 30 different states of this country. Economic security is national security. This is the basis of this. The President's created over 6 million jobs, over 500,000 manufacturing jobs. This fits in right into it. So without further ado, my favorite guy at the Pentagon, SecNav as we call him, Richard Spencer.
Peter, rarely do I get introductions like that. Thank you very much. It really warms the heart. Mr. Speaker, thank you very much for the introductions here, and thank you for organizing this day today. Representatives, mayors, thank you all for being here. There's a lot that goes on wearing the hat of the Secretary of the Navy, and as some of you might realize, it's like anything in life. There are high points, and sometimes there are low points. This is one of the high points. President Trump has committed to security, and the reason I say security is Peter just hit on it. Industrial economic security is national security, and that is the focus that we focus on in the Department of Defense. It's amazing to be here in an amazing building, and as I was told earlier today, Teddy Roosevelt stood here for the, as I would call it, commissioning of the building, and we all know what Teddy Roosevelt was. He was Secretary of the Navy at one point. People asked me, is this a great job? I said, yes, it's a very rewarding job. It was probably really fun when you could paint 12 ships white and take off out of the office for 9 months and sail around the world, which is what he did. I'm still trying to figure out how to do that. You heard from Alex Curry, and I think you felt her energy and her commitment. She's going to make an outstanding sponsor, a sponsor that lives through the life of the ship. We just laid the keel for the USS Nantucket up in Marinette, Wisconsin, yesterday afternoon. My wife was lucky enough to be that sponsor. It's an amazing role to play. But what you're seeing, ladies and gentlemen, is the President's commitment to building up our military, get it back on its feet from the deficit we were in a while ago. We're there, and we're on the way. The people of Pennsylvania have always played an important role in defense of our country and supporting the security of our nation, not only through the Navy, but through all areas of the Department of Defense and in industry alone. I am tremendously confident that the future amphibious transport dock that bears the name USS Harrisburg will carry on that legacy as it travels all around our globe, projecting the image of the United States of America. This will be the first LPD Flight II class ship designed to bring Marines, along with our Navy integrated forces, with the reach, capability, and firepower to dominate any situation at hand. As many of you know, Marines have the flexibility to deploy in the air, on the waves, with helicopters, V-22s, landing crafts, and amphibious crafts. This ship will support those amphibious missions, special operations, and as Peter mentioned earlier, humanitarian relief efforts are also on the menu that's served on board the USS Harrisburg. As Secretary, I have pledged to ensure that our troops never have a fair fight. They will never be outgunned or outmanned. The Harrisburg contributes to that cause. She'll join earlier versions of LPDs such as the New York, the Arlington, and the Somerset, each which was forged with steel salvaged from the 9/11 attacks. She'll join 29 other mobile LPDs around the world. Like the first USS Harrisburg, which carried troops in World War I, this ship will carry our nation's greatest treasure, your sons and daughters that help protect this country. The people of our armed forces are the backbone of our force, and this ship will serve that worthy cause. Today is just the first step. Soon the keel will be set and the ship will rise in the haze of Mississippi where we're building this ship. She'll be christened and begin her testing phase, and only when she's deemed ready for the fight will she gain her commission and join the fleet of other men of war on the ocean. Every step of the way, she and her crew will be guided and inspired by the sponsor. So thank you, Ms. Curry. Thank you for standing up, stepping up, and supporting this more important role. More important, though, I want to thank all the people of Pennsylvania. You've done an amazing job contributing to our defense. We have many operations here in the state. Peter and I are going to go over to Youngstown, see some operations there. The Philadelphia shipyard, we're sending ships back in there to be repaired, and we hope to do more work in Philadelphia. So thank you for your contribution to my cause. It's greatly appreciated. Take the day off. Thank you very much.
Mr. Secretary, to you and the President, thank you so much. I think it's really fitting that Harrisburg as a city is once again put on the name of an important naval ship for our country. And Mayor Papenfuse, I just want to tell you thank you for the great work you're doing to restore the city to its very, very best. And I know you work with Republicans and Democrats to get that happen. And the congressman, the senator, and the representative all represent the great city of Harrisburg. And obviously, Mayor Papenfuse is the head of the city. And for the United States Navy to bring attention to the capital city of the 5th most populous state in the country, we think a pretty important state. We are very, very appreciative. At this time, to be chair of the Veterans Affairs and Emergency Preparedness Committee is hard work. We're always looking out for the veterans. I think Pennsylvania may be, on a pro rata basis, I think we may be the highest number of veterans in the United States on a pro rata basis. General, you'll have to let me know if that's correct. But at this time, I want to call up our Majority Chair, Republican Stephen Barr, a U.S. Navy veteran, to close out our remarks. He works really on a bipartisan basis in making sure we take care of our veterans. And I know with me, he thanks the President of the United States, President Trump, for the naming of this new ship, the USS Harrisburg. And let me call on the chair.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you to our honored guest for being here. But, Mr. Secretary, we can't thank you enough for your not just serving as Secretary of the Navy, but your commitment to rebuilding our United States Navy back to the great Navy that it has always been. But we do appreciate your commitment. And also tell the President we thank him for his commitment to rebuilding our Navy and making it and keeping it the greatest Navy in the history of the world. I think one of you mentioned earlier about our Capitol building. Our Capitol building is the most beautiful Capitol building in the entire United States. And we love working here. And if I had the power to give you the day off, I'd send you all home and say, take a day, go down the river, enjoy yourself. But this is really an incredible honor for all of us to have this ship named after our beautiful capital city in Pennsylvania. And I tell you, I've served 10 years now as the chairman of the Veteran Affairs Committee. And I'll tell you, this is what I love about this job, is being involved in stuff like this. I've met so many great people as part of this, but I come from a long line of sailors in my family. My grandfather, my father, myself, I served on LCC 19, the USS Blue Ridge, back in 74 and 75. And I also have a son-in-law that's currently serving as a fighter pilot aboard the USS Abraham Lincoln in the Persian Gulf right now. And if he happens to be listening, I want to tell him his 3 little girls at home miss him so much, but I know he'll be home soon, and hopefully for the holidays. But this honor is one that I think all of us will remember, and all the members of the General Assembly, from the governor's office down, we thank you for this great honor that you're bestowing upon our capital city here. Thank you very much. God bless you and all the sailors that'll serve. One last thing. Earlier, Mr. Secretary, you were presented with a Pennsylvania flag, and I hope at the christening of this ship, and hopefully some of us will get the opportunity to see that happen, that you will fly that flag proudly on that ship. And okay, thank you very much, and God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you. That will conclude our press event, and we're going to proceed to the Majority Caucus Room. So thanks, everybody, for being in attendance today.